Happy Juneteenth. My name is Wordsmith and I'm a songwriter, performer, entrepreneur, and philanthropist out of Baltimore City. I would say I first started celebrating Juneteenth and started to get to know it off an unfortunate incident that happened to me in 2013. I was racially profiled, spent 3 days in jail away from my kids and the rest of my family. And of course, I had anger, I wanted revenge, I wanted all those things that are human nature. But what it got me to start doing is really thinking about our history here as African Americans, how far we've come since slavery. And that's how I really discovered Juneteenth and how this day is a day of celebration where slaves were let free. But also I keep in mind there are so many things we're still fighting for in this day and age.
I once read that hope is the thing with feathers. Its resilience is able to weather life's storms, the waves that form and come crashing on African shores, sweeping us away into the ocean of sorrows created by the salty tears of our ancestors, by the incessant reign of the white man reigning supreme, but somehow, instead of drowning, they treaded on their hopes and their dreams as they journeyed to America.
Because we are resilient in a way that is indomitable, in a way that makes us indestructible. It helps me to just really tap into the emotion of being able to celebrate, despite the fact that it was created because we were denied freedom. I love that our people created a holiday to celebrate.
President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation became official on January 1st, 1863, but it could not be enforced in Confederate states. So in these states, slavery lasted well beyond 1863. In Texas, the more than 250,000 enslaved Black people were not officially declared free until June 19, 1865, when Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, and Major General Gordon Granger delivered General Order No. 3, which informed the people of Texas that, quote, all slaves are free.
Their crowns of royalty became crowns of thorns. Their broken backs became America's backbone, taken from their home and thrown into bondage. History was not written in stone, which is why the gravestones were often unmarked. It was written in the scars of bodies used as whipping posts, found in the blood shed on American soil. They tried to write out our history, but the truth will always bleed through. They can't erase pain because it was never written in pencil.
Delay in announcing freedom has been attributed to messengers being murdered on their way to Texas, slave owners deliberately withholding the news, and federal troops waiting until after the harvest before delivering the message to Texas.
The lie, just the lie, like keeping the scheme, the scam going of, enslaved labor. You can't win at the expense of another person.
Some would argue we're not all the way free.
The transition to freedom for enslaved people was plagued by confusion, violence, and loss of life. It seems like there is little to celebrate, but they had their freedom, and with it, they once again defied the expectations of white society. And this is what we celebrate on Juneteenth: the resistance, strength, and perseverance.
Jubilee Day allows for us to continue to hope and to at least have a true benchmark on the books. We were free on this day.
But we must not only remember the pain, we must remember the strength. We must remember the thing with feathers that reminds us that after a storm comes a calm. After a rainy day, the sun will peep through the clouds, shedding light on our future. Hope became an eternal flame, sparked by the heartfelt freedom songs sung despite captivity.
I can't imagine what that feeling must have felt like when the last enslaved American found out that they were no longer in bondage. I can't even imagine what that feeling is. And Juneteenth allows for each American to, at least for a minute, at least try to think about what that feeling is. And what does freedom mean for you? What does freedom mean for me? And what does freedom mean for all Americans?
Because it's a celebration in the end. It's a great victory in our journey, in our movement for liberation.
Where everyone is honestly liberated and everyone not gets to just talk about freedom as a concept or a construct, but freedom that is actualized and a freedom that we live and we get to enjoy, and one that makes us better individually, but makes us stronger collectively and really unifies us as a people and as a nation.
When protests started, I was one of the ones out there leading the charge. I was one of the ones out there helping put people's assemblies together where people like myself could speak about police brutality, speak about our issues with the police, and try to find a unified stance in all of these things. So believe me, Juneteenth means a lot. Though we have this history that we may not be proud of, we can start to rewrite it together.
The first Juneteenth celebrations were opportunities to unite lost family members and teach younger generations about the value of self-improvement and racial uplift. In 1979, Texas became the first state to make Juneteenth an official holiday. Since then, 46 other states and the District of Columbia have recognized Juneteenth as a state holiday.
Sparked by June 19, 1865, when Texas ended slavery and all enslaved people were free. Sparked by the shouts of Jubilee echoing across the United States. Sparked by the strength and the resilience that it took for Harriet Tubman's feet to go from running from slave masters to walking into freedom. Sparked by Phyllis Wheatley's words, setting the stage for me to walk on. Hope is the reason why the caged bird still sings, why the grass can push its way through the concrete, why the blues was born through the bellies of sadness, and why I, a black girl, can live in the world freer than they could ever imagine. I once read that hope is the thing with feathers that is able to weather life's storms. So on this Juneteenth, look down and see that we stand on the wings of phoenixes. And even in the midst of our Jubilee, let's be grounded by the roots of history and not wait for freedom to be bestowed, but rather to bestow upon ourselves true freedom of our mind, spirit, and body.